Open up your eyes, take a look at me. Get the picture fixed in your memory. I'm driven by the rhythm like the beat of a heart. And I won't stop until I start to stand out.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to LorcanaCast, the happiest podcast on earth. We are back from a nice long vacation, doing things for work and gaming and all kinds of stuff. So the whole crew is back. We have got Mr. Bates, Mr. Beardo Man. How are you all doing tonight?
Doing better than I deserve, my friend.
Woo! Excellent. So since we have last recorded together, there have been quite a few things that have happened with Lorcana. First of all, there was a huge drought. There was nothing to talk about. It was pretty dead, no news. And then there was an announcement that Upper Deck is suing the Ravensburger team over some stuff we're going to discuss here. And then after that, we got a bunch of cards delivered to the communities, both here in the US Discords and in the French Discords. So there is quite a bit of stuff to talk about. And on top of all that, at the time of this recording, we're 6 weeks away from GenCon? I mean, holy smokes, that's like 3 or 4 more podcasts. And then boom, we're going to be in Indianapolis together, hanging out, playing games. I'm blown
I have like 3 conventions,
away.
But I'm excited.
Yeah, it's just kind of nuts. I mean, what do you guys think? What are you feeling? What are your emotions? Because I'm just full of all kinds of feelings. Like, oh my gosh, it just happens so quickly.
I think this is my 4th or 5th time at Gen Con. It's always a great time, especially going for a purpose, for a specific game that's going to get released. And I'm really excited to get there. I'm really excited to hang out, play some games. I mean, obviously Lorcana is big, but I'm also really excited about Star Wars Shatterpoint, which I've been playing a lot of recently. And I'm going to play some.
Did you sign up for Unlimited for demos?
I did not sign up for Unlimited.
Oh, you should totally do it.
I'm not excited for Star Wars Unlimited.
Never mind. Don't do that thing.
There's a Star Wars game?
Yeah.
I actually have a quick question for you. How much do the Shatterpoint demos cost? Because I've had a lot of people tell me about that game
the last
week and a half. It does look good.
I assume they're doing free demos in the.
They are free demos. They're on there right now.
There are events that are
promos.
They're ticket events that you have to have your own team or whatever. And you play like a small tournament.
Oh, do you have your own models?
Yeah.
So, what do you have? What you playing?
Well, it's right now we just have a core set and 2 additional boxes. So I have all that right now.
Are they painted?
They are put together.
Oh, that's a no. That's a no, folks.
They're getting primed tomorrow.
They are.
And then we'll see. Well, they'll get painted. They'll get painted before August. Is the goal.
Yeah, you got plenty of time, mate.
Yeah, plenty of
time.
Okay. So what are you going to play? Since obviously you have models you need to paint because you're not playing gray.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's coming out before that, but right now my favorite team is they have Dooku and Asajj Ventress working together.
Sith Lords.
Yeah, they work pretty good together in the game, and then you have
you have
droids, you have the BD droids, and a middle guy named Kalani, and then Magna Guard is in my list.
Yep.
They're very good. And then I always get confused. I think it's Django. It's not. Yeah, it's Django Fett.
Yeah, it's Django.
The green one and then silver one.
No, he had.
Who's the green one? What are you talking about?
The green one's Boba, and then the silver one's Django.
Well, I haven't painted them yet.
Well, which ones are in the box?
It's Django. I just always get confused. When I say Boba, I know it's his dad. So yeah, that's my squad I've been playing the most of so far. But I mean, again, we're pretty limited. I mean, you just have the core box and then some other releases. So I think they're coming out pretty fast with releases. So we'll see I'm really excited for they've spoiled Night Sisters. So
I saw that. That looks cool.
With Ventress would be kind of a cool list, and maybe throw Maul in there if he's going to work with them. So we'll see.
I don't want to play test it. I refuse to play test it.
I saw the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader pack. That looks sweet.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I assume that'd be up before then, so that might change things too, because I always love playing a good Vader.
So legitimate question. I know this is a Lorcana show, but we're talking about Gen Con, so it's relevant.
Yeah.
I've heard that the miniatures for Shatterpoint are bigger than normal, and I know you play Blood Bowl, so you know the average size of a GW mini. Are they actually bigger than the average GW mini? Because that's kind of the industry standard.
Yeah, it's like a heroic scale or whatever. I mean, I think the bases are 40 millimeter to 50 millimeter. So I mean, it's not outrageously bigger, but they're definitely larger than.
That's bigger than an Imperial Salt figure too, right?
They're bigger than Imperial Salt.
Isn't Imperial Salt 25 mil? They're
about
pretty small.
that. Yeah, they're about that. So this is it's nice because it's definitely a scale that you get a lot of good painting in there. It's a lot of good details. So it's a fun skill to paint it.
Yeah. Skeff, what GenCon stuff are you going to be doing other than Lorcana?
Lorcana.
Okay.
My gaming. I might try to play some, like, I've always been a sucker for, like, I love a good deck builder and like Ascension deck building, and there's a new Star Wars deck builder. So like
that one's fun. The Star Wars is fun.
The Star Wars is a lot of fun. So like,
it's a really good deck builder.
Yeah,
I haven't played it yet.
It's a great game by FFG. Great game by FFG. For
how do you win?
It is a point based off of planet. So your planet is like, each person has like a home planet. You have to win 3 out of the 8 planets, and then you win the game. And like, planets have like a point system, and then you attack the planets with like the Rebel or Imperial. Like, it's really, like, thematically they found a way to make it work, and that's cool. And I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. So I'll probably play that. But mostly, dude, like Gen Con for me this year is gonna be like, how much Lorcana can I buy? How much Lorcana can I open? And then can we play more Lorcana?
We have to do a 3-way multiplayer game, right?
That would not end well for you, Sugi.
Yeah, we just attack you.
I was hoping I could bribe you to attack Chris.
No.
How many booster packs do you want so you'll like leave me alone?
We still got to work all these deals we had. Remember all the bets we had?
yeah, I know.
Got to figure all that out.
We were wrong on all of them.
I know.
We were so right and wrong about so many things.
Yeah.
It was awful.
We got to go back and tally up how many packs we owe each other.
I'll just give each of you one and we'll call it even.
Right? Still be a nice expensive pack.
I still will be very surprised. I think I said this before, that we have actual boxes there. I'm hopeful that they'll sell booster boxes, but I'll be surprised.
I have no faith.
I hope if I can open a booster box, I would be stoked.
Yeah, I just feel like they're not gonna. I feel like that's a lot.
I don't know. I mean, I would lose my poop if I pulled like a foil genie, because boy, that card just looks so good.
Well, isn't it interesting? Like there's so many, speaking of like new cards that we have that got released, and like the art, I've been yet to be disappointed by what everything looks like. You know what I mean?
That
like,
Iago is hot. Like the colors are so vibrant.
Right.
I don't love Beast. I won't lie. He's got that Jafar kind of art, like that like old school comic book style that I'm not jamming on.
It does have
the Tibbs art is the first art that struck me as like not really feeling cohesive.
It looks like a screen cap.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, so I don't know if what's going on there. That's the first one I thought that was like. I'm not upset at the style. It just looks like you guys said, like a screen cap.
I mean, like it feels like Pokemon, because if you look at the Cerberus they revealed, he's kind of that 3D Cerberus. I'm like, oh yeah, we've seen this with Pokemon where they have like the 3D character, and then the character that looks like it's a screen cap from the anime. Yeah. And then you look at like Genie, and that's clearly like brand new hand drawn, or the Archimedes, like brand new hand drawn. And then there's Beast, the new one, the Wolfsbane. It's like obviously it's new, but it looks like they drew it while reading like an 80s comic book. And I know people like that. I don't. So it's just weird because it's clearly fresh art, but at the same point, it's not my favorite style of art.
No, but I mean, like we've seen some card games come out where we're like, they're not even trying. And like that's a good part. Like, the game looks pretty, and
we went there.
We don't punch down here, Chris. There's no punching down to this podcast.
Maybe some people like that art style.
Only uplifting here, my friend.
The art style for Element is rough for me. I just gotta say that.
All right, I'm gonna say something real controversial. I am like very neutral / not in love with the art from Friends on the Other Side. It just doesn't look super.
Oh, I thought it looked great.
I want to see it in real life.
I like that one a lot.
So all the artwork I've seen is kind of fuzzy and it's not high quality. So I want to see it in real life before anything. But like the generic art with a swirl, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like it's not, I don't know. It's not like stunning. So some of my favorite pieces of art, like Maleficent biding her time, the little baby Maleficent, beautiful art. Or the Hercules, the true hero, the one he's like wearing the scar with the shield for steel.
That one's great. Yes.
Like that art is beautiful. Like it's gorgeous. It's fantastic. It's just so prominent. And then no offense, but it's like, here's Friends on the Other Side. I'm like, well, it's cool. It's just not like mind-blowingly awesome. Again, Genie, I think, is a fantastic piece of art. It's just like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then it's like, oh, there's Cerberus and Tibbs. Like, yeah, that's cool, I guess.
I feel that they wanted to make sure, like the Mickey Mouse, the Taylor, like wanted to get those right. And
those
then,
are cool. Yeah.
Like, right? So I feel like starting off, they're like, all right, we got to get the S tier characters.
Yeah.
going properly.
Or like Maximus. Have you seen the picture of Maximus the horse?
Yeah.
It's like,
he's chill. It's a horse. Like, how cool can you make this horse?
I think some of those are just blurry because they haven't been. Those must not be released directly from.
Those were pictures people took from like cons. Right. Well, because it's like, what is it, Dinglehopper? It's really hard because it's like, it's a fork. Yeah.
Like there's some cards you just can't do anything with.
Or the frying pan. Like, yeah, that's a frying pan. It's
that's a
pretty
pocket
cool.
watch.
Yeah, good job there. Right. I'm gonna use the Dinglehopper to do a thing. Okie dokie. Yeah.
I would still say generally they still
mirror, like,
it still feels like they have synergy. Like it's still a cohesive art style overall.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see anything that like feels like it's totally out of place. It's definitely different artistic going on, but like
no, I agree.
And I'm sure it'll get better. Like that's the thing too. Like everything evolves, right? Remember the very first like Magic card art that got released? It was
this Archimedes card's looking super sexy though. He's so cool.
Right.
He's also one of my favorite Disney characters.
You say that about every Disney character.
That's not true.
He does say that about every character.
Somewhat true.
That is absolutely true.
I don't love Dr. Well, I kind of like Dr. Facilier.
Dr. Phil?
Dr.
Facilier.
Dr. Facilier. I got friends on the other side.
That's fair. Anywho, so let's talk about
Lorcana.
Yeah, let's get back on track here, boys. Let's talk about Lorcana. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the lawsuit from Upper Deck. And basically, Upper Deck is claiming that they're making a lot of claims. And we don't know what's true. We don't know what's not. So we're going to lay it out right up front. We're just kind of recapping what's been posted on the internet. We are not in any way legal advisors.
No.
We don't have any knowledge on the inside. We don't know anything. So, please take this with a grain of salt and understand we're just kind of talking about this from outsiders looking in. But the nuts and bolts is that Upper Deck is suing Ravensburger on the account of there was a game potentially called Rush of, I believe, Icor.
Well, so there is a game, and that game's going to get released by Upper Deck.
Oh, okay.
So they filed IP for that game.
Why don't you explain it? You're a little bit more knowledgeable on the IP stuff.
I will first say that I'm a lawyer. I don't do this kind of law. I don't do IP law. But I did go to law school, so there you go. So, but I'm not giving legal advice by saying this. Most of the information we're going to be sharing today, if anybody wants to check it out, is summarized by a guy named Paul Lesko, Lesko, at Paul_Lesko on Twitter. He did a nice breakdown. He is an IP lawyer. So he did a great job, which I think if anybody really cares about this, breaking down what happened so far up until June 9th. And there might be some other posts since then that he's followed up on some other things. Generally, basically, there's one major claim, and that claim is that Ravensburger stole the game idea from Upper Deck. And that's premised on the fact that Ryan Miller was an employee of Upper Deck working on this game for who knows how long. And then obviously went left there and started working with Ravensburger, and now Ravensburger came out Lorcana. So they're claiming, in so many words, that this, because and again, I'm not legal advice. There's a whole bunch of, I'm a lawyer, so I know how these things go. That we lawyers like to have jobs and like to have work, so we make up a lot of caveats and a lot of ways to create issues. But generally, it's understood you can't necessarily copyright or protect certain elements of games, mechanics,
like
games,
like mechanics, like the tap mechanic, you can't copyright.
Well, tap, I think, actually is one they did for
the verbiage,
the verbiage,
but the mechanic of like
turning
the card sideways,
right? They can't.
The verbiage you can't.
Yes, the mechanic they can't do. So, anyways, there's caveats like that. But my understanding is that Upper Deck is saying they stole this whole game. So what I would assume Rush of Icor is a game again that is about getting to a certain amount of points by questing or doing some other kind of similar mechanic, right? And then it must be, I'm guessing the resource system is very similar. Like it must be that because they're saying it's a whole package that Lorcana took from them and able to get their game out at a faster pace than Upper Deck was able to get their game out. So that's the claim. Obviously, the first thing I thought when I heard this was it was interesting that Ryan Miller is part of the suit, but they're not suing him for any breach of a non-compete or something of that nature, right? There's nothing with his employment that he's violated, at least that we can tell for public filings. So it is really this idea that he brought all this information to Ravensburger, and that's why they're suing. A couple of noble things the guy talks about, and I think the biggest thing to take away from this is that 99% of these times, and this is the same with the law I do, criminal law, these things don't go to trial, right? These things are going to settle, and in civil law especially, you won't know the outcome of it. So they're most likely, I would say,
because it's not public record, right?
Right. It doesn't have to be. It generally is not in either of those people's interests, either of those companies' interests to make a public record. So they don't. So, but what Paul Lesko says and what some of his tweets is, most likely we're going to hear for a few months from now, maybe a year from now or whatever, that the case settled and that's it. And we won't know anything else about it. Probably, exchange of money from one party to another. That is very common. It could obviously go a different way, but that would probably be the most likely outcome of this. It probably won't end up in trial. Part of Upper Deck's initial complaint filing was asking Ravensburger, because that's all they could do with their initial filings, to delay the game. Obviously, Ravensburger is probably not interested in doing that, given that they have a release coming up at GenCon. So that's when the courts get involved. Basically, he goes through his tweets talking about how that would work, either through a temporary restraining order or some type of injunction. He goes through, and this again, Paul Lesko talking about the fact that, in his opinion, Upper Deck's approached this in a wrong way. They basically filed in California, where their domicile, where their business is. Apparently, Ravensburger is based out of, I think he said Seattle, maybe Washington, a different state. So most likely, Ravensburger is going to respond and ask to get it to move to federal court, which, there's a couple of reasons why you would do that. You don't want, first of all, you don't want to go to California. You don't want to go to the home playing field of your opponent, basically. And it would delay it if they get it removed to federal court. You could do that because there's basically two different states involved here. You could get it removed to federal court. So that process would slow this all down too. So all that to say, this guy, Paul Lesko, doesn't think it's very likely that this injunction or a temporary restraining order will be granted. So it would really be incumbent upon Ravensburger itself saying they don't want to release the game if they're really worried about something. Again, there's been no indication of that. They responded basically to the complaint saying they look forward to defending themselves in court, which is a normal response from a company when they're saying they didn't do anything wrong, right? It sounds like Lorcana is going to be a Gen Con. I know people are worried about that. I wouldn't, based on what I've seen, I'm not worried about Lorcana not being there. I'd be pretty surprised at this point if something changed where we wouldn't be playing Lorcana in 2 months. Where things have happened, but by all accounts, it should be there, given that this is going to take a long time in the court system. So that's all I really wanted to share from what I'm seeing. It'd be interesting to see. At the very least, we'll know when Rush of Ichor comes out, like what that game entails, right? We can make our own opinions about how similar it is to Lorcana. Obviously, you people have heard us talking over the past couple of months that Lorcana itself is a mixture of mechanics from Magic, from Pokemon, from maybe some Yu-Gi-Oh, some stuff like that. DBZ, like all these games take from each other, and then it's really about how you package the stuff together and what's missing or what's added in. We kind of talked about that complexity budget in the past, so like it's not like anything in Lorcana that I can think off the top of my head is unique, super unique to the game itself. So it was unexpected to see this lawsuit come out. And kind of I wouldn't say bad press for Lorcana, but it's interesting to see this come out and how it's going, and that's part of the story now about Lorcana and Lorcana's history. So that's what I'd say. Did I bore everybody to death? I'm sorry.
No, it's actually fascinating.
Just intently listening and trying to understand words.
I was trying to make it simpler. So I'm sorry if I made it wrong.
No, you're fine. Like I studied law for a little bit, and I was like, this isn't for me. But like I understand the concept of what you're saying. But it's interesting that Upper Deck is in a weird place because they've done this before with other card games and they've lost. Yeah. So a lot of people who've been in the card game scene saw this and just kind of go, oh, here we go again. It's Upper Deck looking for attention. Oh boy. And it's just interesting because kind of the old heads are not really worried about it. And then there's a lot of people who are brand new to trading card games.
There are a lot of people that I know that were seriously like worried. So yeah, you're right. I had a lot of people that I knew were worried about it.
It could be, and it could be like maybe what you're saying too, Sugi. Like it could be like a marketing thing too. Who knows? Like this is whenever somebody like Ryan Miller, a big, a big presence in Lorcana. I assume he was a big presence in Rush of Ichor. Like whenever that switch happened, that's going to be an issue from one company to another. So that maybe they just use that as an opportunity to like ride Lorcana's pigtails a little bit. He's like, well, this game isn't as unique as you guys think. They want to get some attention to their game that's going to be released after Lorcana.
Right.
Probably not going to, it doesn't have a strong, I assume, I don't know anything about Rush of Icor, but it can't have, it can't have, it can't have as strong of IP as Disney, right? So, I mean, it could. That's also, that's not my realm, but I would imagine that could be a thing about, a marketing ploy necessarily to get some more eyes on their game, right?
Who knows? I mean, it was just fascinating that there was a very different response, and you could kind of tell who has been around for a while and who was newer based on that response. And like I said, it was just fascinating because realistically, if you've been around the block for a while, I'm not a lawyer, but I know for a fact we're never going to find out what it is. They're going to, like you said a couple months ago, hey, congratulations, everything was fixed. And that's it. Like that's all. And we might not even hear it. We're probably not going to hear it from Ravensburger. It's probably going to be all, upper deck who goes, oh, justice was served today. It's like, okay, sure.
Right.
So realistically,
they come out with a Mickey Mouse judge card.
Yeah, the only real news we're going to hear is the announcement of the lawsuit, and then that's pretty much it. That's the end of that conversation.
Right. I mean, even the state court, I didn't say that earlier, but the state court scheduling right now is out to November, right? So like their first appearance on the case is not till November. But again, that's probably going to get removed to federal court. So, which even makes it longer than that. The real issue becomes what a judge rules about injunction or temporary restraining order. And again, that Paul Lesko guy basically goes into all the details about why it's not likely that will happen because they've known about this. Their Rush of Icor was filed in April, basically. Lorcana was filed, before that. So Upper Decks had plenty of time to try to get, if they really thought that the game was stolen, they've had plenty of time to get this in court before August. So it really seems like they wanted to amp up. And you can imagine, like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there are they see that this lawsuit got filed. They know they paid. I mean, it costs a lot of money to go to GenCon, but depending on where you're going, you got to get the hotel, you got to get travel. Many people are going to GenCon just to play Lorcana. That's been a lot of uproar. I don't know, we can talk about that too, but like about the ticketing for the events and about how that all went down and, having to return tickets for events, that kind of stuff. And so people seeing this lawsuit get filed, that's a lot of response I saw was, well, is it going to be pulled from GenCon? So I think that Ravensburger responded in as about as good as ways they could, and saying they plan to fight the allegations, and that there's been no indication so far that they don't plan on being at GenCon. So
yeah, no one's ever going to admit guilt and be like, oh yeah, we totally stole it, haha, lol.
No, right.
They're gonna fight it. My take is when people were afraid we might not see Lorcana at GenCon, the product that they were going to bring to GenCon has already been printed, and it's probably already in a warehouse waiting for the team to access it. So there's not really a reason for them not to bring the product, because I'm assuming it's probably in Seattle. That's their home base. And so they're just going to, call whoever, UPS or FedEx, and go, hey, here's, 200 boxes of X, Y, and Z, ship it to this address at GenCon. Here's the money to pay for it. So just because there's a lawsuit, that doesn't affect the fact that the product is already ready and the product is going to show up at GenCon unless there's some kind of legal reason it wouldn't. And there's just not enough time for there to be an injunction to say, hey, you can't sell this stuff.
Technically, there could be an emergency injunction, but again, that guy who knows more about this than any of us says that's unlikely. And I think that he probably has, as good as, based on what we know publicly, as good as ideas anybody can have about what that is. I will say, again, not the lawyer that does this kind of stuff. When I first saw the allegations, read through the complaint myself, and again, I'm not even, I do criminal law, but my thought is that if Ravensburger was worried about this at all, they might decide not to release. They might decide to delay the game on their own, to reduce, any potential damages there could be. Because I assume that, if you go through, the very unlikely they go to trial. Again, we said that like 99% of these things settle, but the case that they went through a trial and then they are found to have stolen enough of this to be liable for some amount of money, then you have to go to a calculation of what the damages are. And I'm guessing that changes based on if you actually, sold the product or not, right? So what you earn from selling this game. That's my thought. This guy that knows more than I do, much more than I know, didn't bring that up at all. So who knows? That's just the way my mind thought initially. And again, we've seen nothing that I would have thought that if Ravensburger was going to do anything like that, we would know about that by now, right? We would know going into a month before GenCon. I think it's 47 days away, what their plans are. And I don't think they're that worried about it, like you said, Sugi.
Yeah, I feel like if they were going to make a major change or adjustment, they would have said it at this point, because most of the opportunities to I think your refund for your ticket at Gen Con is over.
Yeah, as of yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be kind of a lousy move for them to come out next week and go, oh yeah, due to lawsuit, we're not doing anything.
It'd be huge.
Funding. Yeah, it'd be real bad. So
it'd probably kill the game.
I mean,
think about it.
It would not be a great look for sure.
It would ruin the game. Yeah, I agree.
I would leave such a sour taste.
Yeah.
And anyone who wanted to give it a shot would be like, nah, we're good.
I mean,
now think about that versus what if we hear out a judge and whatever. Let's imagine they don't remove it to federal court, but let's imagine a judge orders a temporary restraining order. Would you think have that same reaction then?
Yeah, I would.
No, because it's the judge that did
I wouldn't have that reaction. But again, that's what you have. That's why media, and that's why what do you guys say? What do you say? Like corporate branding? I don't know what the word is, but that's why that, like, you know, whatever your ability to communicate to your consumer what's going on is very important, because if a judge makes that call, like you're saying, you know, I would say that.
But the judge is saying that they did something wrong then.
No,
and they were in the wrong for doing it.
No. The judge is saying there's enough right now that I don't. Again, the reason why this is my understanding, not legal advice, not whatever. The reason why there would be a temporary restraining order or some kind of injunction to stop it is just to limit the amount of damages, what the judge is looking at about what he thinks about, or he or she thinks about making that order. Is there enough here on the face of the case that Upper Deck has presented to me that I think we should stop this, to stop it from getting so big, right? To making it more complicated about how we unravel this and how we resolve this dispute between these two parties. So I think that would be the criteria about why there would be a temporary restraining order. But again, you know, in the end, does that like we're playing devil's advocate? If that happened, how does that, you know, how that gets communicated down to people that bought their tickets for Gen Con, bought plane tickets, bought hotels, all that kind of stuff that now can't be refunded. You know, do they understand that it really isn't Ravensburger making this choice? It's a judge making this choice, and then who do they associate that with? And you know, like you said, like Skip said, like I think a lot of people are just going to be like frustrated at Ravensburger, right, and not really care about this legal playing. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because I think that would be a really bad start for the game.
Yeah, if Ravensburger were to cut everything out, I'd be upset. If a judge were to say, hey, you can't do this, that's out of Ravensburger's control. Like, they want to continue bringing the community in, bringing the product to people, but they're not going to break the law to do it. So in my opinion, there's two different attitudes here. But I think Chris is right. Most people on average are going to hear, hey, we got if again, this is not happening, but theoretically, in a world where a judge were to show up and get in the way and Ravensburger couldn't produce Lorcana at Gen Con, Ravensburger would take a hit in the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what we know.
But the good news is that is all speculation, and hopefully none of that happens.
And it sounds like the opposite. It sounds like we're going forward. Sounds like this is probably not going to be something we're going to be worried about.
The fact they're releasing cards is a pretty strong tell, I think, that they're not going anywhere. I'm fascinated by legality of stuff like this. So
it's interesting. I wish we would know more about it. I mean, that's the best part. People get excited about it. It's like, we're not going to know anything.
No,
we're never going to know anything.
No. Yeah, but that's what you want, right? You want it to just, like, if it becomes a big thing, then that's bad. They want it to quietly go away. So we'll see if Upper Deck is willing to play ball.
Who knows? But since we
Who
don't
knows?
know anything else,
I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have someone on the team who's an actual lawyer. Again, they did not give legal advice, but you're able to translate all of that stuff that I can't into a very manageable and understandable conversation.
Correct.
Hopefully, help some people feel more secure.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
it'll be exciting Gen Con regardless of what happens.
I agree. So now let's talk about some fun stuff. So we have a combination of brand new cards to talk about, and Disney Lorcana did an AMA with Steve Warner over the last week, answering some very interesting questions and revealing some interesting stats about cards we didn't know. So let's talk about the cards first that we do have full-blown artwork, stat lines, rarities, stuff like that. So we've got Beast Wolfsbane at Legendary Rare, Rafiki Mysterious Sage at Uncommon, Archimedes, the Highly Educated Owl at Common, Genie on the Job at Super Rare, Iago, the Loudmouth Parrot at Rare, and then Timon, the Grub Rustler at Common. Which of these do you guys want to talk about first?
I mean, Genie.
Okay, Genie it is. So he is a 6-cost, non-inkable character, 3 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore pips, green or emerald, and then 2 abilities. One is evasive, which states only characters with evasive can challenge this character, and disappear. When you play this character, aka Genie, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. And Disney Lorcana did clarify that Genie can target himself, because the effect says when you play this character, meaning the character has already come onto the field, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. Chosen character references any character on the board, characters that you've played, your opponents have played. Genie can do it. So you could basically pay 6 to show the Genie to your opponent and then put him back in your hand if you wanted to. I can only think of a very few places where that would be useful, specifically coconuts, because whenever you play a character, you get health or you remove up to 2 damage. I'm assuming we'll probably see cards that say when a character comes onto the battlefield, do a thing. So it's a very fringe situation, but you can bounce your own Genie if you want to. But those are the stats: 6 drop, 3/4, 2 lore. He has evasive, which is really good, and you can bounce a target creature, chosen character, whatever you want to call it. Thoughts on Genie? Oh, he's also a super rare. For those who don't know, is he good? Is he bad? Will you play him?
First of all, talk about the character. It's obviously a very extremely iconic Disney character, right? Voiced by Robert Williams is the most famous one, not Will Smith. So that part, first of all, great. I think the effect disappear is amazing. We've seen a few bounce effects now, but bounce is extremely powerful. At 6 costs, it seems reasonable, but I think a lot of these effects that let you bounce out either your own characters or use it offensively and bounce out your opponent's characters if they're causing problems, or use it defensively or use it to trigger things. These are basically combo starters in a lot of different decks, right? So you can, just the fact that you use them to take care of a problem on the other side, or use them to start a combo on your side, is very, very versatile. And I can see them being put in a lot of decks. So, decks that run green, obviously. So yeah, 2 pips, 3/4. Seems like a great card to me.
I would have to, it's just one of the things where I was just excited because it's a Genie, guys. It's just like childhood. You know what I mean? I was just, and also the card seems like it's just one of those really cool kind of tech cards where Sugi's fringe, but what purpose can it use? It seems to be it serves a lot of functions. I like the concept of okay, this seems like a really cool card. What other kind of cool dynamics are we getting? It just made me more excited for more upcoming cards, basically, because of how exotic the card is.
Of course, Sugi's focused on the situation of bouncing it back to your own hand, which is I think that is the fridge thing, right, Sugi? That is
Oh yeah. Normally, you're going to use Genie to get rid of their most powerful card or the biggest threat to your board state. Mm-hmm. It was just an interesting interaction when the official Twitter says you can play the Genie, target the exact same Genie, and return him to your hand.
Because you wonder who's going to do those shenanigans, right?
Why would you? I'm going to probably do that.
Yeah, you're definitely going to do that.
That also, the formatting of the cards, when you play this character, that I assume that means that applies to everybody then. So, you could read character cards, and if they have play effects that are worded the same way, that they'll trigger, once that first part happens. And then you go to the second part and see how it resolves. So yep. I'm interested to see, again, rules are really interesting to me. But yeah, that could go one or two ways, right? And it's going, and they're ruling it that way, that it will be able to target itself because it's in play when that first part of the sentence resolves.
Yeah, it's fascinating because it feels a little bit like Yu-Gi-Oh, not in a bad way. It's just the card says when you play this character, you can do a thing. So it seems like it's kind of a cost versus effect kind of thing where, so Beast is a great example too. It says when you play this character, exert all opposing damaged characters. So the expectation is when this character is played and hits the field, then you can do a thing. So it's interesting because in other card games, generally when the effect goes into play or on the stack or on the chain, the effect has to resolve in its full sentence structure, and then the card actually kind of hits the field. Lorcana is almost the opposite, where Genie hits the field and then does his thing, which would allow you to target himself. I think Pokemon is similar in templating, where you can play the Pokemon like when you do an evolution or you play the Pokemon from hand, it hits the field and then you resolve the effect, which
the
could allow you
ability.
Yeah, it allows you to potentially target the thing you just played. So with Genie, it's a very fringe situation. Like you're probably never going to play him and then bounce him because you just tapped 6 ink for
you're not getting anything out of that.
Yeah, you're getting like almost. I'm very careful because the fact that they've already addressed the fact that you can bounce your own card after you've literally played it, I'm feeling like we're probably going to see something in the future where there is going to be a beneficial play where it's like, when you play a character, your
opponent has to discard a card.
Something where, you wouldn't be opposed to playing the character and then bouncing it, and then another effect would resolve that might, destroy characters. So you get to keep the Genie, but you kind of blew everything up on your, I don't know. There's so many potentialities. It's just an interesting statement that the card hits the field, then can just target itself. Like, okay, that's interesting.
What I gather more from that than anything else is that
there'll be more cards like that.
Well, there'll be more cards like that, but it would be surprising to me if we have interrupts that trigger, on your opponent's turn then, because that would make that ruling a lot more complicated. If, for example, if we had counters, if we go to Magic and a common blue tactic is counterspelling, basically counterspelling works because you are able to hold the cards into a queue, a stack of how they're going to resolve. If Lorcana has something where opponents can counterspell or change the game state on your opponent's turn, but the play effects already on a stack, that's going to make it very complicated how those cards are going to resolve.
I could see something Yu-Gi-Oh style that says like the first effect,
first in, last
character.
Out. Yeah.
No.
Or first in, first out.
No. So there's actually a couple cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that say the first effect that your opponent plays is negated. So you could have a character or an item on your field that says, the first character ability or the first card effect that you play is negated. So if you were to play Genie first, he would come onto the field and then his effect would not trigger. So you just have a 3/4 evasive character that doesn't have anything else.
Sure, that makes sense. So that way, yeah. But then Magic, for example, couldn't have their cards go this way. Couldn't have part of the card resolve without and target itself basically because of the system Magic has. So that's more. But yeah, the way you're saying it's a static. It's on the board already. It's a static thing. And you already know the card's not resolving when it's played basically. So that could still work. Yeah.
I doubt we'll ever see that, but just for the sake of argument, that's kind of what I'm thinking is you could see some kind of effect that turns off, when you play this character, do a thing and just says your opponent can't trigger those effects. Again,
that makes me really happy because I think I don't want us to get to the level of Magic stacking and the rule. I want this game to be simpler than Magic. So far, it has been simpler than Magic, and I think that just leads me to more of my conclusion that the rules of the game will be simpler. And it'll be more like I'm going to do stuff on my turn that you're not going to interfere with is how I'm feeling.
The more I play Lorcana in testing, and I think I'm over 2,000 games now. It's been a lot. I've been playing a lot.
You're over 2,000 games?
Don't judge me. Yes.
Is that hyperbolic? There's no 2,000 games.
He judged you immediately, actually.
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
It just seems ridiculous. Like there's 2,000 games.
He technically, Sugi, he is kind of accurate because you are playing 2,000 games of a game that technically doesn't exist.
Right. There's not even 2,000. There's not even enough cards. Like,
oh yeah,
yes, there is.
Yes, there are.
A way.
I mean, when you're playing goodness. 20, 30 games a night every night. And
wow, dude.
I'm logging some. I want to know. So what I'm noticing about Lorcana mechanically is the game actually kind of has a Magic stack or Yu-Gi-Oh chain kind of built in. Yes. It's just in Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, everything is happening simultaneously. So if it's your turn, you play a card, and then your opponent can immediately respond with a counterspell, and then you can respond with another counterspell. Mm-hmm. Your opponent can respond with all these things. So you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in this simultaneous stacking scenario, and then you resolve everything first and last out. So the last thing that happened is the first thing to resolve, and then you go backwards from 1 to 6, so on and so forth. In Lorcana, there is an interesting form of that stack, but it's in a slower format where on my turn, I play a character. I pass. On your turn, you have the option to play a character that could attack me, or you could play like a fire the cannons and kill my character. So it's kind of like the stack because you have an opportunity to respond to what I just did. Now, it's not as clear cut and it's not as simultaneous as Magic, because in Magic, you don't get to play a land and then respond. Whereas in Lorcana, essentially you get to play a land and then respond. So you're getting to accelerate your board state and your resource state, and you're setting yourself up for a chance to respond to the thing I just did the prior turn. So it's interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, I really want to see like a stack and a chain, an opportunity to respond. Depending on how you build your deck, depending on the things you put into your deck, you actually can. And I want to use this opportunity to pivot to one of my favorite cards that got revealed, the new Rafiki, Mysterious Sage. So it is a 3-cost character that cannot be sent to the Inkwell, 3 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore pip, and the effect Rush, which says this character can challenge the turn they're played. So traditionally, character cards have what we call summoning sickness. You play them and you have to wait until a future turn to do anything with them. Rafiki with Rush means you can slap it down and immediately attack. So he's essentially a worse version of the Smash burn spell that just says deal 3 damage to any target character. So Rafiki is, in my brain with Rush, he's kind of like an instant speed spell because you don't have to wait for another turn to use him. You put him on the field and then you can say, hey, I'm going to swing him into your Captain Hook, who is already exerted, and I deal 3 damage to him and kill him or banish him. He deals 1 damage back to me. And then if you want to try and take me out, you've got to do an additional 2 damage, but I'm going to deal 3 damage back to you. So Rafiki sets himself up, when played correctly, for a lot of 2-for-1 trades. Or if you're like really desperate to get through, say like a Hercules bodyguard, most people play Hercules, they exert him, and they think, I've got a turn or 2 before my opponent will have anything to deal with this board state. Now, and then what they'll do is they'll quest with their characters, like they'll quest with like their baby Maleficent, who'll get you 2 lore. They'll quest with their Pascal for 1 lore because he's got evasive if they're other characters. Rafiki puts the game into a weird state because now on turn 3, you can slap down your Rafiki, swing him into Hercules immediately, and then your opponent is completely naked. Their 1/1 Maleficent will go down to your other 1/1 because your 1-drop is probably a 2/2. And she's a 1/1. So she goes down. And then your other character is easily going to be able to kill Pascal. So a board state we used to have where you were feeling pretty safe hiding behind a bodyguard character, Rafiki can very comfortably turn off very quickly. But that's the thing I've noticed is the stack, the order of operations, adding in characters with Rush or abilities that allow you to activate them immediately when played, speed up the game and create that sense of urgency and tension like we talked about with Sasha. And it kind of changes that dynamic of you do something, I do something, you do something, I do something. Now it's I do something, I play a character, and I get to use them immediately. So you kind of get to do 2 somethings before your opponent gets to do anything. And I think that's fascinating.
I just want to go back to before all that and say that I've played 0 games of Lorcana. So just so the audience knows the difference between 2,000 games to 0 games. It's like somewhere in the middle. There's like most things.
I think I've played like 15. You know what this reminds me of, Chris? This is a great analogy. Probably not a great analogy. Remember the movie, the OG one, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? We're like, Charlie, how many bars of chocolate have you opened? He's like, 2. All right, 200. No, sir. Just 2.
Just 2.
2 bars. Well, I can't do anything with 2 bars. Pretend you live in 200.
Remember the story of Goldilocks when she had the 3 porridge bowls? It was
what?
like
What? Yeah, that's a terrible analogy.
I mean, the woe was too soft. The woe was too hard.
This makes zero sense.
Just right.
We're going with the Willy Wonka one.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Suki's the kid that opened up all the bars. I opened up a couple.
and I've had zero.
You were the one that are like, I can't do anything about that. That's just bad math.
Right.
So
okay. So I just want the audience to know that you're getting a wide variety of Lorcana experience on June 17th, 2023.
I think I'm like 15 games in.
No, you're closer to like 30, 40.
Me?
How are you going to inflate his numbers?
Because I played with him. He and I have played a ton of cards.
Oh, so if his numbers are off, your numbers are off? Is that why
I'm getting judged? I am so getting judged here. Oh my gosh.
I love how you're like, nah, man, you played 100 games.
No, he hasn't played 100 yet, but he's way above like 15, 20. I know that.
Nah, we're good.
Wow.
We're good. I love it. But I'm excited. So the thing is, like, it should be good. But the Rafiki is an interesting card where it's just I mean, it's just simple. It's just a 3/3. It has rush. You can use it immediately. And it's something I think purple definitely needed. I think that's the first rush purple card, right?
Man, it's a scary card when you think about all the things you can do with him. Like your opponent. What's interesting about purple, or I think it's amethyst.
Yeah, I'm calling it purple.
I know it's gonna be purple, but
it's
amethyst.
Purple. So what's interesting about purple decks before we saw Rafiki is they had this really high lore gathering skill set
without any damage.
They had the card draw with Friends on the Other Side and Sork Maleficent, and then they had the batteries to just get tons and tons of lore real fast. So you have Pascal, who has evasive. You have Baby Mal, who's a 1-drop that gets 2 lore, which is pretty nutty. And then you have, your Olaf, your 1/3, who's just kind of annoying to deal with. And so you could just set up this really early game, low to the ground board state where it's just like quest. And by like turn 3, if you had like the nuts draw, you could be looking at 12 to 14 lore with just a couple of low to the ground characters. The problem was the game evolved and found that big bodies can just kill purple decks and just slow them down to a crawl. And then you play a big thing like Cerberus at 5/6, and purple can't kill it. There's just nothing they have to do anything with it. So they have to use other colors like red, gray, or blue to get past big bodies. Now that we're starting to see things like Rafiki, it gives them that extension they need where you can use Rafiki to take out some of the threats your opponents have while you're still questing and keeping your opponent honest. So he's not like game changing or divisive, but the fact that you can pay 3, slap a character down, and immediately challenge, your opponent has to respect purple. If they don't, you can catch them off guard and really hurt them. And I think that's a really cool kind of a tech card that purple definitely needed. He's not necessarily going to do much late game when the bigger bodies are out, but like turn 3, turn 4, Rafiki's going to keep you honest if you're not paying attention. And he's got some chops, and it's very, very cool to see some of these rush characters that are pretty gnarly.
Let's go to the next rush character then. Beast Wolfsbane, 5 costs, 4/4, has rush, has an ability called Roar. Yeah, roar. When you play this character, exert all opposing damage characters. 2 pips.
And non-inkable. That's important.
Non-inkable. I see this as a huge way to get rid of a problem character, right? I mean, if you've put some damage on somebody and they just obviously at that point they probably had a decent defense score, and now you're worried about them for whatever reason, he could just take them out, right? He could just get them exerted, target them, and do 4 damage to them. Hopefully take them out of the game.
I do have to admit, I do really enjoy the beast, the mechanics of the card. I think that's a great value for 5.
Yeah,
like that just seems like a great value for 5 for the. I mean, it's a 4/4 for 5, which is great. The rush ability, and I think the playability of Roar. Especially because I think of imagine there's got to be a deck out there, a card that'll be like, when you play this card, it does like 1 damage. And you start spreading damage across the board, right? Then at one point you just like,
yes.
Oh, I'm just going to exert your entire team, and you're like, is this a thing?
Even pairing it with Steel, right? Maybe like Steel has a lot of cards that are going to put out chip damage, right?
Right.
So if you're able to put chip damage on I don't know. We talk about some 5 defense cards that are really good, right? If you want to get rid of
Sorcerer
fast.
Mickey that lets you keep recurring brooms.
Sure.
He never ever exerts. You just want him to stay online the whole time.
So
exactly.
You ping him with the damage, and then you take him out with Beast, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it really is a nasty combo card.
I think there'll be something out there that'll be like do 1 damage to opponent character, or deal 1 damage to 2 opponent characters, and you're just like, okay, this seems really good now, because
it also increases the value of cards that heal. Yes. I mean, think about like it makes cards that heal.
Dinglehopper.
Oh, yeah, it makes them actually
it makes them actually like feel like not so like, because I mean normally you're not going to care about 1 damage, but you do care about 1 damage. That means your Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer is now targetable, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I think it's a great card for the game. It's going to be a great mechanic, and I love cards like that are teched to fix to take care of a certain problem, right? Cards that aren't going to want to exert. Well, I'm going to make you exert, but I have to jump through some hoops to do it. So I think it's a great card.
What's interesting is Beast and Genie both get astronomically better with each set that come out.
Yeah.
Because I think Chris is right on the mark. The moment I saw Beast, his ability's like, this is cool. And then it's like, wait, there have to be cards that do AoE ping damage. Mm-hmm. Because currently you just have 2. Yeah, you have 2. So you have Fire the Cannons, which does 2 damage, and Smash, which does 3. Both of those pretty often kill the thing you want to get rid of. You don't really do 2 damage to a 5 or 6 willpower card unless you have another way to get rid of it. So it's kind of a inefficient way to get into a character. But the fact that you exert every single damage character absolutely means we've got to see cards that either do like AoE damage across the board, or characters where it's like exert this character, deal 1 damage to a chosen character. Mm-hmm. And now you start setting up these combo plays with Beast. Or I think another combo piece we could talk about is the new Iago, which is a great opportunity to transition.
Yep.
And this is a 3-cost character that can be sent into the Inkwell. He is a 1/4 rare with 1 lore pip, and he has an ability called "You Got a Problem," and you exert this character, and it says chosen character gains reckless during their turn, which is they cannot quest and they must challenge if able. So what's interesting is you could do a turn where you tap down Iago, make something reckless, it attacks into Iago, it takes 1 damage, and then on a subsequent turn you slap down Beast, and then you just swing into all the things that have a little bit of damage on them.
It's just a great piece of control. I mean, making your 2 pip, or making your 5 pip Mickey, or not 5 pip, is it 4?
4 pip, yeah.
4 pip Mickey do nothing but attack.
So. Also it makes a card vulnerable, or it's like also it's a really easy way to get like, hey, there's a Pascal, now it has to attack.
They have to exert themselves. Yep.
Right. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they're just like it's
interesting. Yeah, they might have to kill themselves. I mean, they might
have to kill themselves.
They might have to target something that
it's a really interesting 3-drop that's some sort of like removal. You know what I mean?
Great control.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic control piece. Now there are some subtleties here. The Disney Lorcana Twitter clarified a couple things. So a card that has the reckless keyword on them, they can be used to exert themselves if they have an exert effect. So for example, if you have an Iago, target an Iago and give, your opponent's Iago reckless, your opponent can choose to exert them to use their ability. They don't have to attack. You can also exert a character to sing a song as well.
Right.
So there are opportunities to set yourself up where you are hit with reckless. You cannot quest for any reason whatsoever. But just because the rule says you must challenge if able, the if able is also a flexible space where you could tap yourself to sing a song. You could tap yourself to activate an ability. You could tap yourself to pay a cost. Also, there's another thing a lot of people don't talk about. If you tap down, say like I use Iago and I target your Genie, and I say, hey, Genie's got reckless. You have to attack Iago. You can use another character to kill or banish my Iago. And then if I don't have any other exerted characters to attack with, your Genie that has reckless doesn't have to do anything. He still cannot quest, but he doesn't have to exert himself because there's no legal attack target. And the if able basically allows him to stay in an unexerted state. And
I just want to clarify too, like it's made for the ability, as far as I can tell, you don't get to say who they have to challenge.
Correct.
They just have to challenge. Kind of your word may have been sound like that you have to attack a certain character.
So it's basically a passive effect that if the character can attack, they have to attack.
Right.
You get to choose who you attack, but if there are no attack targets, you don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
And if there are other ways to exert the card
yourself
by singing a song, paying a cost, activating your own ability, you can just go, hey, I'm going to, like, say for example, Iago targeted Elsa and said, you're reckless. Then the opponent on their turn could say, okay, I exert Elsa to exert one of your characters, and now I don't have to attack. So there are definitely ways around the reckless keyword. You just have to be creative with it.
Let's go into our next of two, I think, right? Timon, Grub Rustler.
Tell us what you feel about this.
Yes, I love it because that means that we're getting more Lion King cards. Or a Pumbaa.
What color do you think Pumbaa's in?
Definitely get Pumbaa.
What color?
Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, Pumbaa. Pumbaa will be the same color.
You think so?
It have to be. It would be sacrilegious if those two guys weren't on the same team. They had to fight each other.
They'd be 5 different versions anyways. Right?
There's going to be multiple colors of the characters.
Yes, there has to be for the game to be existing. Yes, it's very true. When you play Tastes Like Chicken, great name, by the way. When you play this character, you may remove up to 1 damage from a chosen character. That literally comes right into play with the whole beast concept. Like literally, like the same concept of like, oh, it does 1 damage. This is bad. You're like, well, not anymore. Also, it's interesting too, is like when you play this character, you may remove up to 1 damage from chosen. So you don't have to if you don't want to. Also, if you can find a way to, like, it's a 1-drop. So like, can you play multiple, like can you like spam them? Can you know what I mean? Yes, like ways to like bounce them back into your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like he's just
a diplomacy character in multiplayer.
Oh,
so it's a we didn't say, but it's a 1 cost inkable yellow card, 1/2 with 1 pip.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I like it.
I mean, I feel if for the concept of what is this, yellow?
Yeah.
Yep.
Amber.
For Amber, having a nice, like, it's not just Olaf. Like it actually like serves a purpose. You know what I mean?
Wow, what you saying about my boy Olaf there, buddy?
It doesn't do anything.
What? Better than 1. Yeah, it's better than 1. So that means I think is a vanilla card or like a 1
I am
cost
going to
2/2?
beat you at a game specifically using an Olaf now.
Sounds good.
I mean, you have played 2,000 games, so
I'm gonna draw those thug life like glasses on his eyes, give him like the little smirk, start playing the music in the background when I quest for that last lore. Be like, so Olaf doesn't do anything. Okay,
let's go to our last card before we. Right. So our last card is connected to Timon because I would say it's going to be it's a 1 cost vanilla card. So it's how do you say his name? Archimedes.
The adorable little owl.
Inkable owl that's purple. 2/2, 1 pip. So I think that is our baseline. We talked about in the previous episodes about like what a vanilla
everyone's gonna have these
card is like a 1/2/2 with a pip is a vanilla card for this game.
Yep.
So you could compare it to Timon, who is a 1 cost 1/2 with a ability, is still 1 pip. I would say a middle level ability, if you want to say it that way. Like it's something that definitely will find play in certain combo decks. So anything else about Archimedes?
I feel bad about Archimedes. He's in a color that's already flooded with great 1-drops.
Because that's definitely gonna be a style deck, right? I mean, like it's gonna lend itself to like purple rush.
I mean,
and they probably, I imagine if anybody has effects that are going to like, I know sacrifice won't be a thing in this game.
I think it will. I think it could be.
I don't know if they'll call it sacrifice, but if in Magic you can basically use other characters to as a cost for effects and whatever. That's so whatever they would call that at a game. I think if anybody has that, it probably will be purple, right? I don't think I've seen anything.
I want to do an owl deck. There's got to be an owl deck.
We got one.
Wait.
How many owls were Disney?
Was that Rockadoodle movie? Was that Disney? Rockadoodle movie? Oh, okay. Because I'm like, I want the owl bad guys.
But we could get Owl from Winnie the Pooh because we've already got Tigger. I think that's it. I'm sure we'll see like Rabbit, Owl.
I googled how many owls, and this website Disney Fandom has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 owls.
Oh, there's Owl House.
Yeah,
Owl House, the show.
There is Owl House, but that's not Walt Disney Animation
Etta,
Studios.
Clawthorne, Owl from Winnie the Pooh, Professor Owl, Archimedes, Big Mama. I like that owl. I don't know where she's from.
Big Mama, what's she from?
The
Friend
Martin
Owl.
Lawrence movie.
And forest animals, Sleeping Beauty. So they just have owl as a forest animal, Sleeping Beauty. Big Mama is from the 1981 The Fox and the Hound.
Oh, The Fox and the Hound. I forgot about that.
The saddest movie.
Oh, no. I have to turn in my Disney card now. I was like, I know that name. Where have I
She's
heard
a motherly character who coordinates Todd's adoption by Widow.
Yeah. I forgot about. I haven't seen Fox and the Hound in decades.
It's not normally one you're like, I'm going to put on a movie for a good time.
That's true.
That is put on for a good time.
Those are the dark era of Disney movies.
It was either this or Schindler's List. I wasn't sure which one to put on.
Gosh, why would you know? Lord.
Oh, Yeller. It was this year.
Fox and the Hound. See, I'm the guy who'd be like, let's watch Oliver and Company. That's a fun, upbeat movie.
That's a great movie.
Or then you're like, let's watch Fox and the Hound.
Or Homeward Bound.
Man. Oh, man. I watch Homeward Bound.
I watch Homeward Bound. That's a fun movie.
I cry every time.
Yeah, you should. If you don't have a soul if you don't cry.
Uh-oh. Anyways, moving along now.
So the owl deck would be fairly light unless they take some liberties.
It would be terrible.
With forest animals.
So here's an interesting thought. I think so. In Magic the Gathering, there's a term called anthems, where you have cards that buff a specific type of card, and we're seeing a lot of these ally cards. And I feel like we could definitely see like an item that says, all allies get like +0, +1, so like 1 more willpower, or maybe like +1, +0, or something. So you could run an ally deck. And you just have all of these, little loaded. You have like, Sergeant Tibbs or Archimedes or Iago or.
I mean, I feel that's a great way for them to, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they want to just like
theme
have a. Yeah, right. Well, because I mean, like if you look at Magic, like there's elves and humans and like they have that already built into the system for like the longevity of the game. Like for example, like I don't remember seeing a mentor card before for Rafiki. Mm-hmm. Is that the first mentor card we've seen?
I think so.
I've been looking right now. I don't see.
Like I thought that was cool. Like they're just building these mechanics where like Dreamborn, hero ally, princess, mentor, villain, prince,
alien.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like
alien,
I think that's great because then that means that they can expand on that, and then people start. Then you start making those elf decks or the rush decks. You know what I mean? They start like actually having like a theme to the concept, right?
The storyboard
it's gonna be interesting
versus Dreamborn is still the biggest. Like, what is that?
Also, it could mean nothing. It could mean, Floodborn, Dreamborn, Storyborn. Like it could just be a way to separate characters when they release. Because then you just assume that, like, all right, there'll be 3 different versions of the Mickey. There'll be 3 different versions.
In future sets, they're going to matter. There's actually going to be part of the storyline.
Exactly, and they're going to be way like thematically, or they'll like be like item card. They'll be like all Dreamborn characters.
I guarantee you, there's going to be tutors, but it's going to be like specific, where it's like you could tutor out like a Storyborn character, or
you can trade out your Storyborn character for another story, like Pokemon Communication.
It feels like
Pokemon,
It feels like it's going to be related to the story of the game too, right? About the inkwells and battling to get the stories. I think so.
I mean, think like much.
Otherwise, Floodborn feels like that's not a term that's common to Disney.
No.
If anything, when you see that, you think about Halo, right? Like everybody thinks of the Flood.
Yeah, the Flood.
They just introduced Halo, the card game.
And I was like, this is our way to get Halo into Disney IP.
Yeah, we specifically created Floodborn to have these special characters.
Hilarious.
I think what they said in an interview was Floodborn is like an alternate reality that could have happened.
Yes.
So if you look at like Hades, the King of Olympus, he's got the Floodborn keyword, and so he's got like that golden hair, and he's drinking the drink, and he's like taken over Olympus. So this is a Floodborn alternate universe where in the movie we've seen he loses to Hercules, and he gets
this is where he wins.
Back. This is the universe where he wins. He actually
he won. That's why he's all golden. That's why he's the king of Olympus.
If they want to do something different than what the character would be, what the storyborn version would be, they would put it. So like Stitch as a rock star, or Aurora as a defending. But she was kind of a whatever. I guess I think that's kind of
outlaw. So like Aladdin's actually a hero instead of a street thief, and everyone hates him. He's like a Superman. He's like a Batman. He's like, oh my gosh, he's here to protect the people.
That's what Aladdin did, isn't it?
Well, it is, but he's kind of not really represented in that fashion. Like he's still like a street rat to people until he marries Jasmine and becomes royalty. So I guess that's fair. But Hades is a really great representation of. It's kind of like the Marvel What If. Like, what if Hades? Actually
those
won?
are great. Those are phenomenal. Or the Star Wars Tales.
Yeah. So Stitch,
I agree.
Stitch Rockstar is like a what if Stitch wasn't like a hated animal? He was actually like popular and became this like world famous musician. So
I love Stitch.
Floodborne is a fascinating opportunity for them to go.
Correct. I agree.
What if this thing happened? What if like Mulan didn't win and Shere Khan? No, not Shere Khan.
Ooh. Yeah. What's his name?
What is wrong with my brain?
I just remember they're coming out of ground like daisies.
Like daisies. I know people listening are going to start yelling at us.
Yeah, they're going to yell at us.
Like,
Who is it?
Who's the Mulan villain? All right, let me look.
There actually have not been a lot of Floodborne since released.
No.
Shan Yu. I knew it. Yeah, Shan Yu. So yeah, what if Shan Yu succeeded and killed the Emperor and Mulan did not?
I want
succeed
a Shan Yu card now, and I want the eagle, and a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah, like what if Cruella did kill the puppies? Actually, that's kind of dark. We'll move on.
What if she did not do it?
Yeah,
but she did.
She saved the puppies.
It's in the movie. She didn't do it, right?
She did not do it. She did
but
not.
She wanted to.
She wanted to.
She wanted to murder dogs.
So how did she get the skin for her coat?
She bought it from. Well, we don't talk about that. We don't know.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno. Oh yeah, they'll be Encanto cards, aren't there?
I believe Encanto is in the Disney and Walt Disney Animation Studios collection. The new Wish movie is. So we'll probably see that in a future set, maybe, probably. Question mark?
I can't wait to get Star Wars back from. Okay, whatever.
I thought you were going to play Unlimited. Aren't you going to play Unlimited?
Let's wrap this thing up.
Wow. Chris is shooting the honest truth over here. All right. So last thing I want to talk about before we get on out of here. Disney Lorcana Twitter had announced that there were some people were asking about lore pips for cards we hadn't seen yet. And the three I wanted to bring to the table to talk about for a quick second is Goofy with Evasive has officially 2 lore pips. Tigger with Evasive has 2 lore pips. And interestingly enough, Lady Tremaine, the 6-drop with 1/5, who says when you play this character, you can return an action card from your discard pile to your hand. They only gave her 1 pip.
That seems insane.
Wow. So I want to talk about Goofy and Lady Tremaine. Tigger, I don't know, 4/4 for 6, 2 lore Evasive. Like it's interesting.
It does seem interesting.
But Goofy at 5. That's something I really wanted to talk about. And then
you missed
Lady
opportunity for that one. It just seems a bit goofy, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. How'd you miss that?
Chris, you're right. We should probably wrap this up. It's getting late. Skeff is bringing the dirty puns in, the dad jokes.
It's a bit goofy. It was so good. That's why it's such a goofy card.
Are we not seeing eye to eye here?
I know, right? I want that power
line. Happy Father's Day, by the way, Skeff.
Oh yeah, Happy Father's Day! Congratulations to everyone who's listening. Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day.
Unfortunately, this podcast will be coming out way past Father's Day, but we'll just go back in time for a few moments and retrospect your amazing Father's Day. Congratulations to all the fathers out there. But Goofy is a father. He does have a son, Max. I would love to see a Max card. Anyways, we're getting way off topic. Goofy. Let's talk about Goofy. He's a 5-drop. You can send him to the Inkwell. 3/4 Evasive. Only characters with Evasive can challenge this character. And he's got 2 lore. Officially has 2 lore. We thought he had 1. He's got 2. What are you thinking? Because I think that's really good. Like, I think Goofy is going to be a very solid card we're going to see play a lot of in Constructed Lorcana. I mean, if you can pull him in like draft or sealed, woo, take my money.
I mean, Chris, do you want to play that devil's advocate or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think the card currently right now is a bit, I'm just going to say it because I feel like someone has to be anti-Goofy card, right? So I feel that it's just overhyped right now because we only have 41% of the set released and how many other evasive cards, like what is the percentage of evasive cards in the set? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's
more than half. And then if it is, you're like, oh, there'll be a lot of evasive cards to counteract this.
Yeah. Tigger takes him out. 1 more call. There's a lot of, it's good. A 2 pip evasive for 5 is good. Right.
But I'm just doing it to be, anti-Goofy. That's all.
Yeah.
They all can't be like, Goofy's amazing, even though I want to.
Nega Scott, you're like, Nega Goofy.
Obviously, red is getting, the strong evasive cards. That's where they're, they have the Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor. So probably the best questing card we've seen in the game, right? Evasive and 4 pips.
If you can ever play him.
If you can play him at 8, right? Hopefully the game is over at that point. At that point, you get in the card that just banish him, right?
Let's just start with 6 ink. That's just, that's how you play him.
Right. But I mean, the difference is between, the difference between Goofy and Mickey Mouse is 2 turns, right?
3.
And because 1, 2. Yeah, I guess
Goofy's a 5-drop. Mickey's an 8-drop.
I don't know. It seems fine. I don't. Again, I played 0 games. You played 2000. Listen to Sugi. I guess it feels like I've seen enough effects so far that I am not too worried about him. He bouncing back. He still gets summoning sickness. I don't know.
That's fair. No, that's totally fair.
You could exert him.
Just wait. Just wait until we play him. You're gonna go, oh my gosh, he's really good. He's spicy.
I mean, Elsa could lock him down, right? At 3 cost.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, it feels like you're going to. I mean, that's their thing. Their thing is
remember,
having
you can only challenge him with other evasive cards. So you can tap him down, but on my turn, I untap him and then I quest. So if you don't have evasive, I don't care about your Elsa. That's worthless.
Or you just make him attack you with Beast.
Well, Elsa could tap. She could tap him down, and then
you tap my Goofy down on your turn. I untap on my turn, and then I do whatever I want with him. The only reason you use Elsa to tap something down is if you're going to swing in and banish them. But if you don't have evasive, what do I care? The only purple evasive is Pascal, so you could do 1 damage to me. Oh boy!
I think it beast you.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, beast doesn't have evasive.
No, but he would make you attack him.
You mean Iago?
Or reckless? We give him reckless or whatever.
Yeah, you give him reckless.
Talk about the other thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that works.
The reckless is. I mean, there's. I think there's another cheap way to give reckless too, right? There's an action card that gives reckless.
There's a 3-cost. The beast is mine that gives a character of choice reckless.
Right.
Reckless.
So I mean, I think that's gonna be anti-red because red wants to get down and sneak in questing, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
And nope, you can't sneak in that questing. Gotta get your licks in. So
I've seen people do something dirty where they quest with Cheshire Cat and then they hit you with reckless and then you have to swing into Cheshire, kill it.
It's brutal.
And then it banishes the both of you.
Yeah. It's brutally good.
I haven't done it myself wink personally. Yeah.
Dragonfire is also 5 costs. Just saying.
It's true. Dragonfire, let it go. There are ways to remove Goofy, but I'm just saying, like, he's a great turn 5 drop. And if you don't have an answer for it, it's like, all right, I'm going to quest for 2 lore and then 2 more and then 2 more and then 2 more. And I guess I win. Haha. Wow.
And Steel's going to get more. I mean, I have no doubt you're going to have removal for each level, right? So
yeah, I do agree. He'll
going to have
get
a 4 cost 4 damage removal.
Yes. Like, I still think at 5 vanilla 3/4 with evasive, he'll get worse as more cards are revealed. Yeah. But he's still good enough that he can be in a deck. He's not just, this card is only good for the next 2 weeks. And then when GenCon comes out, he's Archimedes is kind of like, well, nice knowing you, buddy.
They just had to make an owl card.
Definitely a good card. Yeah. I'm just saying.
But the 2 lore is what caught me off guard because we all thought he had 1 because it would make sense for Tigger to have 2 and then Mickey to have 4. And now it's like, oh, Goofy and Tigger both have 2. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Sounds good. All right, last card, and then we're going to go home, go to bed, get some Skittles, drink some water, go to the bathroom. Lady Tremaine. A lot of people thought this 6-drop 1/5 had 2 or more pips. Some people thought she had 3. I thought she had 2. I was actually surprised. So ironically, it's the inverse of Goofy. We thought Goofy had 1. He has 2. We thought Lady Tremaine had 2 or 3, and now she has 1. Do you think what do you think? Do you think it's good, it's bad, it's ugly, it's playable? It puts her in a really awkward spot now, I think.
Chris, go first.
I have no thoughts. I've not played any games yet. You think it should have more?
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of the 6-drops, like Genie's a great example. He is a 6-drop, an uninkable character. He's a 3/4 with evasive, 2 pips, and a bounce effect. Lady Tremaine is a 6-drop, uninkable, 1/5. So she has a really big defensive value. That's good. She has 1 attack. Not good. Her ability is, I guess, really what you're playing her for. That says when you play this character, you can return an action card from your discard pile to your hand. But the expectation was if she's a 1/5, then after you play her, you should probably be using her to quest, because with 5 willpower, you could probably use her like 1 or 2 times safely, and then maybe she'll, die to something attacking her. But now at a 1/5 with 1 lore, it's kind of like she seems undervalued or maybe overcosted, I guess.
But you can't. The hard part is obviously she's an evergreen ability that she's always going to be able to get an action card from your discard. So if you're playing,
that's the trick. It's hard. Yeah,
playing a heavy deck that is trying to a green purple, for example, that's going to have a ton of action cards that are very good, or maybe a green red where you want to get back your Dragon's Fire, stuff like that, right? Being able to recursion is huge.
Yes,
and so like that, cards like that are what's going to make the most busted combos of the game. So no, I think that's a balancing mechanic mainly, is that, if you're going to pay for recursion, you have to pay. Recursion has to have a real cost. Otherwise, it's going to make some broken combos. So I think that's more the issue. She gets to recur, then she gets to also be a busted card questing. No. So
not busted, just above average. A 1/5 for 1 at 6 is kind of on the lower end.
Yeah, I think that ability is the only reason you play her. Obviously, knowing the pips now is because of the ability.
Oh, you're right. She gets so much better with every set. What's interesting is she combos really great with Genie, because you could play her, get an action card back to your hand, play Genie, return her back to your hand, play the action card, play her again, get the action card back. So you can keep doing these recursion loops. Yep. Now, I will say it's really expensive, because most of the cards you want to recur are like 4, 5, and 6.
You're doing that off turns, right?
You're doing it like once per turn.
You're actually playing the card.
With I will say this, with the ramp in blue, I have gotten to 11 or 12 ink before, so it's not impossible to play a Lady Tremaine.
Impossible.
Play the card that you just got back, and then on the next turn, play Genie, return her to your hand, play her again to get the card back into your hand. So you could potentially get stuff going pretty quickly.
Impossible or impossible?
Yes. Unfathomable. In theoretical. Inconsequential. Happy unbirthday.
Those are
okay. So for your 2,000 games, what has been the average amount of lore you have gotten out during a game?
What do you mean? Like between 0 to 20?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Like what do you feel like? How long are games lasting?
Oh,
how many
okay.
Turns?
How many turns? Oh, okay.
How much? I think what your really question was how many inks are you getting on the field? Was that really the question, Skiff? Like how much mana do you have?
Yes, to the inks.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, those are 3 totally different questions. On average, probably 5 or 6.
The game's over before you get to turn 6.
No. You only need 5 or 6, and then you can play everything out of it.
So you're not playing more. Yeah, that does seem like that's going to be. There's not a ton of card draw that we've seen so far. So again, and that's kind of what we talked about with Sasha.
You hit a threshold,
right? And then the question becomes to be the inkable cards versus uninkable cards. That whole deck, we had really explored before that.
Yes,
that whole dichotomy, like what can you ink?
Yeah,
and then you draw. If you're planning on inking something, or you're planning on drawing something inking, you don't get that card that you can ink. What does that mean for you? That becomes a bigger part of the game, and then that means I'm capped at 5 and I can't do as much as I want to do. So yeah, that seems like a part of the game that you won't really feel until you actually start playing the game.
If you're playing in gray or steel and you have Beast's Mirror online, you're going to actively ink as much as you can so that you can get the extra card draw. So it's not uncommon if you draw, like a Goons and your board state is perfectly fine, you just ink it and then tap out to draw another card. So with ramp in blue or Beast Mirror in steel, you can easily go over 6. But if you're playing like, green, purple or steel, blue, or basically anything that doesn't need to go necessarily above that curve, generally you're looking at 6, maybe 7 ink. And then everything you draw, you just play. Or you just sit on it to make your opponent scared. Or if you have a really comfortable board state, you don't need to. So something that's interesting in Lorcana is if you have a comfortable board state that's producing 4 to 6 lore, you actually don't necessarily want to or need to commit more stuff to the board, because you want your opponent to spend resources to deal with your threats online. And then after they get rid of those threats, you just replenish them and they go, oh my gosh, I just got rid of, like, I actually don't like playing double Moana very frequently because I'll set up the Moana and a bunch of princesses and they'll swing, 1, 2, or 3 cards into Moana thinking they got rid of her. And it's like, okay, here's my new Moana. And they're like, oh, do I have to do this again? I'm like, yeah, you do. So keeping that tempo, making your opponent allocate multiple resources and then replenishing quickly and easily is great. I mean, if you want to play like hyper aggro and just dump your hand out, that's fine. I personally like to keep a few cards in my hand so that the opponent has to respect. They don't know what I have. They don't know what to play around. They have to make assumptions of, does he have this? Does he have that? What could he possibly have? And just kind of, I like to keep a strong, steady pace of lore and then set up a turn where, maybe I'm sitting at like 16 lore and then I'll just slap down 2 cards that have 2 pips each and then go, hey, if you don't have a removal spell, I just auto win here because I've got a bunch of cards on the field you have to kill. I have 2 characters that are completely untapped that have the 4 lore I need to win. So mathematically, you'd have to take 3 characters off the table. You've only got 6 ink, 1 card in hand. You logistically just don't have enough power on your field. So you set this board state up where it's either impossible or they have to pull 1 card out of like the 43 or 36 cards they have left. And it just makes it a really difficult scenario. It's a lot of math, actually. Lorcana is very math heavy.
The only number I know is 2,000.
2,000 plus. It's actually more than 2,000. It's not like I stopped at 2,000.
He's done till GenCon.
Continuing to play more games every day.
Done till GenCon.
These new cards opened up so much new stuff in the deck realm. It's
good
great.
Though. That's what you
need.
It's
great.
You need to have more opportunities because the game, like, like the decks that you're playing, like, also about how much of the deck on average have you gotten through?
Not much.
Really? Oh, yeah, there's not much draw.
Outside of purple.
Yeah.
If you're playing a purple deck and you draw the nuts, you might see 20 cards, maybe 25. If you're playing a non-purple draw deck,
not much.
The mulligan is absolutely your most important decision tree of the game. If you miss mulligan, you are probably going to lose. I know a lot of people talk about like, you dump your hand out, you top deck. If you miss mulligan, you're top decking basically at turn 3. And that's not a great feeling, trying to hope that you get what you want.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just, you're not even playing the game. You're just like, I hope I draw something helpful.
Basically, yeah. So mulligan is critically important to the success of your game. I guarantee you, people who win or lose major events are going to go, they're going to be like, what's your secret? Mulligan. Yep. I got the right cards I needed in my mulligan.
A good mulligan is always a good thing.
I think on average, so at the start of the game, you see 7. If you're on the draw, you have 8 before you do anything else. So you've got almost 10 cards out of 60. So you've 1/6 of your deck. So you'll on average see like a third of your deck. You'll probably see 20 cards. But if you're not drawing out of purple, you're probably not seeing too much more than 20, maybe 25. With purple, you probably see an extra 10 to 12, depending on if you hit multiple friends on the other side or Sorcerer Maleficent, which you should be trying to mulligan for early game. So even still, it's not super common to see half of your deck frequently, honestly.
I mean, that's cool, though, just to like understand like mechanics. So when I get to play some more games, and when Chris plays a game, it'll be, I'm just got a good fundamentals of it.
Chris, are you only playing a game like IRL with physical cards?
Yes.
I respect that. I respect the crap out of that. Like, I really do. It would be impossible for me to not play these cards somewhere. It's just so cool. But you have much more willpower and patience than I do.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I mean, I feel like if I play with 90 cards out of 200, I might get. Well, first of all, like, it's far away still. I mean, still 47 days away. I know I could burn myself out. Yeah. And I just, I want to play the game the way it's, the full way. I don't want to have to relearn the game or or think about things differently when I know the full card pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And just generally, like, I mean, if I'm going to play video games, I'm going to play video games. If I'm going to play card games, I'm going to play card games. That's how I am as a general rule. Obviously you can't always work out, especially with, us that live in different states. We want to play together. We'll have to make some concessions there. But, generally I try to play my physical games in real life, like physically in real life, because that's why I play the game. It's partly to enjoy that
I'll be
tactile
honest,
feel.
I think a lot of people actually are in the boat where you are, Chris. I think people like me who are playing with like proxy cards and on, different applications and things, I feel like we're probably the smaller slice of the pie.
For sure.
And I think that's really cool, honestly. And we could talk about that in a whole nother episode, but like super TLDR, like anyone who's waiting to play IRL, I super respect that decision. Like I'm just too impatient. When I see new cards, I just want to start seeing what they do because I'm a tinkerer. I'm a mechanic. I want to see, is this card good? Is this card bad? Where is this card good? Why is this card, why does it exist? There has to be a reason. And I just want to see all the permutations of, oh, this is a terrible idea. Don't do that. Oh, this is a really good combo. Do that. Or, this is kind of mediocre. This probably doesn't belong in this color. There's just so many, especially with 6 colors, and each of them have so many different styles inside of their own color. And once we have all the cards, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to see monocolor decks. We don't have enough yet, but that also fascinates me because Archimedes in dual color decks, I think, is bad. Archimedes in monocolor purple,
is needed.
I think is really good, actually.
Yeah, it is. And that's what you hope to get for. Where like you want the variety, right? You want to be able to like try new things, and then like once the full set is released, which like I think that's mostly where like honestly between you two, like do you like? I don't think they're going to release everything. Like I feel there's going to be cards that
not anymore. I don't.
Right, like I think there'll be.
I think they took 2.5 months where we saw like just the animal buddies, and that was not even a full reveal. No. I think they've made it very clear they're going to be slow rolling the cards, and they're not going to show us everything.
If I had to pick a percentage, like if I had to be like, I think it'll be like 20% of the set will be unknown.
I think it'll be 30. I think it'll actually be more. I feel like they're going to give us like 60%, maybe 70.
It'll be interesting because then you just see like it'll just be. I think that's what I'm just looking forward to most. Is just like at this point, it's been I feel like it feels like we're so close, right? To like opening product, but yet it's still pretty. It's still 2 months. You know what I mean?
The way they keep teasing makes me think that they're going to hide the really really cool and impactful cards for people to crack.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely showing us cool stuff, but every time people ask, what's your favorite card? Like, oh, it's redacted. And it's a funny joke, but the more I think about it and the closer we get to GenCon, they keep dropping these little cards that are hints. Like the Beast is absolutely a card I think that hints at there's more coming. And I really, really suspect that we're going to find those cards in packs.
Yeah.
And share them amongst ourselves at GenCon.
So you're playing a tournament Thursday morning. I guess like are we gonna do our very first like video of us opening product on that day?
We can. It depends on how long of a time you get to build your deck, because obviously you'll get your random deck, which will probably have cards we don't know. You'll get your one booster pack, which will definitely have cards we don't know. So if they say, hey, you get 30 minutes to build your deck, yeah, we'll crack that pack and we'll stream it. If they go, you get 10 minutes to slot in your card, maybe like, I mean, sure. Like we'll crack the pack and go, okay, here's all the cards. Here's what will go in the deck, put it in, shuffle up, and then go. I'm assuming we'll probably get like 30 minutes to, have a moment to see what the cards are. Because normally, even at major tournaments, even the ones that are faster than normal, you generally get like 20 to 30 minutes to at least see what's in the starter and see what's in the booster. So I feel like it's a very likely opportunity to be some of the first people in the world to actually crack product and see what's inside. And then obviously, we'll be streaming all week. We'll be taking pictures with other content creators and talking to people about their cards. Like GenCon's kind of awkwardly, hilariously exciting because now that I get the feeling we're not going to know everything, it's going to be this really social experiment of like, hey, did anyone get a new card? Yeah, I got a new card. And then you run over and see what it is. And then, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's cool. Can I take a picture? Sure, probably. And then, someone else would be like, oh, I found this new card. And we're all going to run over there and be like, oh my gosh, it's really cool. So GenCon's going to be like this combination of buying product, cracking product, discovering new cards, And then, of course, once the three of us get all of our stuff, we're going to be building decks and playing games, and we'll try and stream it. I don't know how good the Wi-Fi is at GenCon. If it's not good, we'll just record it and show it in post. We'll do pictures and stuff. But there's so much opportunity and so many cool things, and it's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just like the very first time we get to see Chris touch a card. It'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Watch
also,
him pull like a really cool legendary like cold foil
that'd be awesome.
to bless his patience.
He gets
like something like if you get a cold foil, let it go.
You'll get a cold foil Archimedes. Delicious cold foil Archimedes.
Actually that artwork is pretty darn
I'll take whatever, man. Yeah,
it's a great artwork.
I'm definitely gonna pay purple anyways.
If you get a cold foil Jafar, I will happily throw it in the trash for you.
Wow! So you can go get it out of the trash?
No, I'll crumple it up and rip it. Cold foil Jafar.
I'll give you the cold foil Kristoff there, buddy.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can have him. I want your cold foil Olafs. I want that boy.
That he'd be a fun card. I think it'll be interesting.
I'm not kidding. I'm gonna get those little Thug Life, those glasses, print off his stickers, and slap it on that Olaf. Start questing on people, and be like,
Maybe like, sir, that card is not legally playable.
That sticker
I will
is
call
illegal.
the judge immediately.
Judge,
Call
he's
the judge
playing
on
with
you
stickers
immediately.
on his cards. It's
so then
illegal.
he can mark them. He knows where they are.
Marked cards.
They're marked cards, sir.
Even though it's in the sleeve.
Yep. Knowingly, like no one would ever mark an Olaf card. It'd still be a marked card.
This man marked an Olaf card.
Right?
Disqualify him.
Disqualified. Oh, I'd laugh so hard. I'd love it so much.
Oh, I would be very sad if you did that. Now I need to get like bigger versions of the Thug Life glasses for the Archimedes because he's got those like really funny eyebrows going on there. You just put those glasses on, hilarious. Oh. Or Iago, that'd be pretty funny. Iago with the glasses, he's like, you got a problem.
You got to do the voice every time.
You just
got to cameo Gilbert Godfrey every time you draw the card.
Didn't he pass away though?
Yes.
Rest in peace, Gil. Yeah. Every time anyone plays Iago and activates the ability, you gotta do it in the Iago voice. It's just you have to. It's literally a quote from the film. I mean, come on.
Okay, as we close out here, let's do our Iago voices.
All right, Skiff, you go first.
I'm walking here.
No, you got to do it. You got a problem, not New Yorker. Oh my gosh. You got to say, you got a problem in Iago. Go for it. Try again.
You got a problem.
Oh my Lord. All right, everyone who's listening, leave us a comment who your favorite Iago voice actor.
Clearly, it's mine.
Skiff beat me, so I'm good. And I'm just go ahead.
No, Chris, you got to do it. I didn't hear you do it yet.
You're walking there. There you go.
No, you got to say you got a problem. It's not New York. Oh my gosh, it's Agrabah.
I'm walking here.
I'm like, what's my best Christopher Walken?
I got a fever.
I got a fever for a walk.
More cowbell.
I got a fever for a walk.
No, you got to give it that guttural sound like Iago. You got a problem here.
There you go. Siggy wins.
Why would we ever try to compete with perfection?
Good job.
Yeah, we can't compete with that. It's too
I'm
good.
I'm gonna splice in the clip from the movie so people can hear the original. You got a problem? And then you guys doing the New York accent. Hey, I'm walking here. Oh no, Joey, stop, please.
I think we lost half our viewership.
We did.
Well, we have 0 viewers. You're correct. We're listening only.
Oh, that's true. I love it so much.
All right, we are getting out of here. It is late. It is time to go to bed, and we are clearly punch drunk happy with all this Lorcana goodness. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have enjoyed the podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We are going to be doing all kinds of really cool stuff upcoming with other content creators. We're getting ready for GenCon. We're going to be streaming stuff, taking photos. It's just a blast with all of the cool Lorcana stuff coming up. So make sure that you're following us, and do us a great big favor. Leave a review on whatever podcast aggregate you're listening to so other people can see that the LorcanaCast is a fun group of people and a really, really cool show. And we will see everybody next time. So make sure to have a wonderful time. Keep taking care of yourselves. Drink more water. And remember that Ohana means family, which means nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
The squeaky wheels always getting the grease. I'm so